pretty depressing when there's no October baseball in the Bronx. Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Now, I know you might be looking and think, wait, did I hit my head in there? Am I seeing mirages? Am I seeing things? What's going on here? I know things look different right now, so for this offseason, we figured, switch it a little bit. We try to we called up a rookie from the minors and going to give him a shot this offseason to see if it works, and that is the desk. So we have, for this offseason, the desk and things on the desk. Now, since this is the 7th off-season for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, we decided to invite Mickey Mantle, number 7, get it, and we got them, we got some other cool stuff. We got the Rivera little bobblehead thing here. I don't think it's actually a bobblehead. They're giving this one out during the playoffs, but I kept it. And I'll never take the bobbleheads out of the box. Again, once you take something out of the box, it's gone. And of course, we have cat food here because you just never know. And of course, the laptop to crunch the numbers here, pull up the stats. I might not know something, so we'll get this laptop, get the information right away there. So everything's covered here. We got all the stuff, even the pen. You got the pen here. And if to wet my whistle a little bit, we got all Yankee water here there. So we're all set here with the desk. This is for the off season. Now, I can't guarantee it'll be there for the 2024 season. The desk might be a complete disaster. And of course, we'll have to get rid of the desk. So we're just going to try out this off season how it goes. So far, I like it. So it's going to be a little different. And of course, you might be wondering, am I wearing shorts? Am I wearing pants? Am I in my boxes? You're just going to have to wonder about that. So that's the benefit of the desk. But of course, we want to get to the Yankees. We want to get to the episode. And of course, I guess maybe the top news, even though it's not Yankee related, is that thank goodness the Houston Astros got eliminated. So we have to thank the Texas Rangers for that. And, if you've been listening to the podcast, the audio podcast, I kind of say Texas is kind of, it's a team you don't mind seeing winning in a way because they're not really a rival of the Yankees. I know they knocked the Yankees off in 2010, but again, you don't see the Texas Rangers as a Yankee rival. So of all the teams still involved, if Texas ends up going all the way and winning the World Series, you could live with that, okay. And of course, we'll get to this in this episode. We've got a couple former Yankees on that team. Mainly, we're going to highlight Jordan Montgomery and Nathan Eovaldi, who are now postseason gods. They're like the Andy Pettitts now, the way they're pitching in the postseason. And just the fact that we had them, both of them, at various points and let them go is mind-boggling. And of course, Aroldis Chapman doing his best to blow it for them, but not blowing it as much. So you got a couple of Yankees on that team. So, if someone's to win it, you don't mind seeing them winning. And other than Chapman not showing up for last year's playoffs, you don't really want to hate Chapman. It's not like, I wouldn't put Chapman in the Kyle Farnsworth category. Chapman gave us some good moments as well. So if he goes on to get a ring with Texas Rangers, you can live with that. And of course, you'd like to see Montgomery get it because he came up as a Yankee. And again, we'll go back and discuss that whole thing later in the show. But of course, again, good news, no Houston Astros going to win a World Series. So thank goodness for that. And don't have to see Altuve, don't have to see Verlander be happy. You don't want to see those people be happy. And again, it's just, goodbye, Houston. So whoever wins after this, I could really care less. And if you're a New York Yankee fan, it's probably the best thing ever. So we'll get off that. So we're going to cover a few topics this episode. We got, some Yankees, of course, it looks like Garrett Cole. Good shot at the American League Cy Young Award. That's yet to be announced. But they do have some other Yankees have some personal individual awards, and that'll be the Gold Glove Awards for both Anthony Rizzo and Anthony Volpe, a pair of Anthony's for the Yankees. Now, unfortunately, I don't think going to get the Gold Glove there, and I'm going to crunch some of the numbers there just to go up who they're up against there. I don't think, they're finalists, but I don't think they're going to eventually win the World Series. And I mentioned before, we'll go a little bit over Nathan Eovaldi and Jordan Montgomery, what they've done in this postseason. We got some other cool stuff. Again, the benefit of the desk, I put the paper down, and I can pick it up. And see, we got I'll kind of dive into a little bit. I'm sure you've heard the A-Rod, his interview when he was on with Evan and Tiki. Kind of a little disappointed and feel like, the Yankees should, be retiring as number 13. They should have done it already. And so some people have some mixed feelings about that. I'll kind of get into that whole thing there. We also got Kim Ng. Now, that was the Miami Marlins GM. She stepped down. And I'll kind of get into that whole thing because, she was an assistant for Brian Cashman back in 98. That was kind of her maybe first major gig. She broke in with the White Sox, but first big gig in 98. I don't know if the Yankees did something big that year. So maybe someone the Yankees want to bring back to to help overlook this team as they go through the audit, whatever it is. Just give Cashman a fresh pair of eyes. So we'll dive into that. And of course, we got some Hall of Fame news. So Lou Piniella, former Yankee player, former Yankee manager, and again, he spent the season there in the yes booth, and I don't think it kind of worked out too well. Somebody very Yankee related, up for being elected into the Hall of Fame, and that's with that contemporary committee. And I'll kind of dive into that, look at his numbers, both a player and a manager, see, does he really merit that? Is it really worth it? I don't know. We'll get into that. And of course, lastly, some people have been chirping about the whole Bryce Harper thing. He gave a recent interview that kind of grew up as a Yankee fan, and of course was kind of hoping the Yankees would sign him. And of course, Cashman didn't even look at him. We'll kind of backtrack that a little bit to see the yin and the yang. I mean, should the Yankees done that? Should they not have done that? We'll kind of go back in the memory lane with that. And I remember arguing to not bring him here, and I'm actually going to stand by that. I know if you see him doing well in the playoffs, you say, we should have had that guy. But you got to go back in 2019 when all the stuff was on the table there. So we'll go bounce back into all that. So we've got all this cool stuff for you. But even though we have the desk, there's one thing you still should be doing. There is the audio podcast version of the show, Section 420 Talkin Yankees. So wherever you get your favorite podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, follow, subscribe. Again, you get stuff there you can't get here. A little crossover, but you want to make sure you're covering all the bases. So wherever you get your favorite podcast, remember, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, subscribe there. And if you haven't done it already, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching it on TV and you have access to a computer to get to YouTube, go to YouTube, Section 420 Talkin Yankees. Make sure you subscribe there as well. You want to cover all the bases, round the bases, which is what you do after you hit a home run. So the first topic we'll go over is the Gold Glove Awards for, again, two Yankees are candidates there. That would be Anthony Rizzo for first base, which is like, wait, he kind of missed the entire season. I kind of think the same thing too. Kind of explain why there. And of course, Anthony Volpe at shortstop, who he played the entire season there. And again, I'd say overall good rookie campaign for the Yankees. I know the batting average is low there. That's kind of like all the Yankees. But nevertheless, putting up a 2020 season, again, had to take his lumps a little bit during the midway there season. But again, overall, say as a rookie, as a 21-year-old, really can't ask too much better than that. Did a good job there. But unfortunately for both of them, I don't think they're going to win the Gold Glove. And I'll kind of go up who they're going up against and explain why with all that. So it's going to be announced on November 5th, Sunday night. So that's when they will announce this thing. And again, Rawlings, who, again, this is kind of like the official glove of I guess, baseball like that. That's why they're getting, determining that. So we'll go first. We'll look at Anthony Rizzo. Now, like I said, he only played 92 games. Again, maybe had that situation. We got to hit the collision at first base. And we had the kind of delayed concussion, which they didn't diagnose later. But you figure, right, you only played 90 games there. Like, how can you be up for a Gold Glove? Well, if you look around the rest of baseball, again, the game's a little different than years ago. You don't have like the everyday Don Mattingly or the everyday Keith Hernandez or like the everyday Tino there. So you do have like what the Yankees have right now, like a lot of hybrid players, like someone like a DJ LeMahieu who plays a couple of games at first base, a couple of games at third base, and it seems like a lot of the players shift around between DH, first base, third base there. So, kind of understand why he at least be in the mix there, because, again, you just don't have those too many permanent first basemen like, you remember back maybe a decade or two ago, so the game's a little different. So, now who Rizzo's up against, it's Nathaniel Lowe, who currently with the Texas Rangers, going to the playoff run, as well as Ryan Mountcastle of the Baltimore Orioles, who had that breakout season, 100-win season for them. Now, unfortunately, again, against those two, I just don't think Rizzo's numbers going to stack up enough, mainly because of Nathaniel Lowe. I think is just going to walk away with this. So Rizzo played 92 games at first base, only had 4 errors and a fielding percentage of .995. So good, respectable. And Rizzo has won 4 Gold Gloves in the past, but that was back when it was Chicago Cubs days. Now you go up against first Ryan Mountcastle of Baltimore Orioles. Now, he actually played 2 less games than Rizzo, only 90 games, but the other 23 games he participated was as a DH. So again, that's why you mentioned a lot of these players are kind of hybrid players. You don't have the permanent first baseman like we did back in the day. Now, he had 2 less errors than Rizzo, but only 2, which means he had a slightly tick high fielding percentage of .997. So kind of beats Rizzo there. But who I think is going to walk away with is Nathaniel Lowe. And again, this numbers is blow away. The two of them played 161 games at first base. So that's almost the entire season at first base. Only had 3 errors and a high fielding percentage than both of them with .998. So again, his 161 versus Rizzo's 92, it doesn't come close there. So I would say Nathaniel Lowe is going to get the Gold Glove for first base there. Again, just walks away with it. Now, as for shortstop, you have Volpe up against Corey Seager. again, currently in the playoffs for Texas, and Carlos Correa of the Minnesota Twins, who got bounced in the playoffs there. So, unfortunately, Volpe, when I read the number of errors there, that's what I guess the other two, he just doesn't have a shot at all. Now, he played 157 games at shortstop there, had 186 putouts, but unfortunately, what's going to hurt him is the 17 errors, which is almost more than double than the two other guys he's up against. So the 17 errors is going to kill him. Had 63 double plays and a fielding percentage of .970. Again, but those 17, you just it can't be a Gold Glover with almost 20 errors there. Now, if you go up against Carlos Correa, who has an opportunity there. Now, he played less games than Volpe with 134 there, had less putouts with 166, but only had 6 errors. So 6 for 17. I just don't think Volpe has a shot there. Less double plays with 56, but a higher fielding percentage of almost 10 points higher of .982. And then again, and then finally, who I think is going to get it is Corey Seager. Now, he had both less games at shortstop, both Volpe and Correa, but with only 117 games. But 134 putouts, 8 errors, so it's much less than Volpe, but 2 more than Correa. 69 double plays, which is more than 2 of them, and a fielding percentage just 1.001 lower than Correa with .981. But the reason why I think he's going to get it, he was an all-star this year, and plus Texas making a deep run in the playoffs, and I just think all that kind of works into it. So I would expect Corey Seager for shortstop to get the Gold Glove. So if you're a Texas Rangers fan, you're going to be happy. You're going to probably get it for first base with Nathaniel Lowe, and you're probably going to get it at shortstop with Corey Seager. Could go to Carlos Correa possibly. Again, Correa has won one in the past there, but I would say this is going to probably go to Seager. And for Volpe, he did get voted to the second all rookie team, to whatever that's worth. So, personal accolade, who cares like that? I guess being voted to the second all rookie team in a dollar gives you a bottle of water, as they say. Now, you could have a possibility of some wild card factor coming in it. And if you remember back with 1999 with the Yankees, Tino Martinez got screwed out. He should have won the Gold Glove, but it actually went to Rafael Palmeiro, who only played 28 games for the Texas Rangers, 28 games at first base, and they gave him the Gold Glove anyway. Now, that was because of reputation, because pretty much every year before that he won the Gold Glove. But for him to play only 28 games at first base, now the other 128 games he did play was as a DH, but to play only 28 games to get a Gold Glove, Tino was ripped off. Tino should have got there. So can some situation like that happen, possibly where maybe Rizzo gets to first base, and just because Rizzo has the reputation, he's gotten Gold Gloves in the past? Maybe. I just think the game is different, and baseball writers and whoever makes these votes and stuff like that, it's just still different. So I don't think you'll have a wild card factor like that. So that's the only way Rizzo could possibly get it. Other than that, it's probably going to go to Nathaniel Lowe there. And for Volpe, again, as long as he cuts down on the errors, maybe next year, the year after, maybe finally he'll get a Gold Glove. I guess we'll stay with the whole Texas theme there. We're going to look at a couple of former Yankees starters, mainly Nathan Eovaldi and Jordan Montgomery, who have been absolutely fabulous for the Texas Rangers there. And then again, when I read you this numbers, so you're gonna freak out. Now, this is through the American League Championship Series. Of course, it includes all the series before that. So far in the postseason, first we'll go to Nathan Eovaldi with 4 games, 4-0 in 4 games, 26 innings pitched, only 7 earned runs, 21 hits given up, only 4 walks, and 28 strikeouts. But again, 4-0. And then with Jordan Montgomery, just the same, just as mind-boggling. In 4 games, 4-0, 22 innings pitched, only 6 earned runs, only give up 25 hits, 4 walks, and 16 strikeouts. And just the fact the Yankees had both these guys at various points and let them go, it's just mind-boggling. And so again, when this Yankee, I guess when Hal Steinbrenner does his audit, he has to look at some of these things, why they couldn't evaluate these players or get them to pitch better while they were in a Yankee uniform. It is mind-boggling there. Now, Eovaldi, remember, the Yankees got him a couple years back. The last pitch with the Yankees was 2015. Now, unfortunately, in 2016, he had to go down with Tommy John surgery, and I guess he just... the Yankees basically designated for assignment after that. They weren't looking to bring him back right after the Tommy John surgery. Now, in 2018, the Tampa Bay Rays took a chance on him, only a $2 million contract, which, hey, look, if you had the guy, you believed in him before, and again, at the time, he threw like the heaviest fastball in the league there, maybe could he go like $2.1 million to bring him back? You did like the guy a couple of seasons ago, but they let him go to Tampa, who eventually get traded to the Boston Red Sox. Would be kind of a utility, kind of all-purpose type of pitcher for them, win a championship. Then he got a 4-year deal, and then nevertheless, if that deal eventually would end with the Texas Rangers there. But the fact that the Yankees had this guy, within a couple of years ago, and again, he pitched well against the Yankees in the postseason against the Yankees in 2021 there. Again, got the best of Garrett Cole in that 2-0 shutout game there. So this guy's hurt us just by not, but we had him, and we let him go, and now you see him flourishing elsewhere. And Jordan Montgomery, we want to go back to last year's trade, trading him for Harrison Bader. Again, you're looking at back now. At the time, now, look, you got to look at Montgomery at the time was just a 500 pitcher, an ERA a little under 4, and that's pretty much where he was with his Yankee career up to that point. But you had no idea the way he was going to go. He gets traded to St. Louis. He starts off like 4-0 with them with an ERA under 1, and of course now doing well with the Texas Rangers. And you got to say, at the time, you understand why the Yankees made that trade. I mean, if you could trade what Jordan Montgomery at the time was just a number 4 starter at best, and you could get an everyday center fielder in Harrison Bader who can cover a lot of grounds, which cuts down on doubles and cuts down on bloop singles, just blooping over the second baseman. If you could cover a lot of ground like that, that's the better value trade. So again, it was a smart trade by Cashman. It made sense, but unfortunately, it didn't work out. So the Yankees just have to do something internally to figure out how they evaluate plays and stuff like that. And it could just be the way the Yankees call games, because we've seen Montgomery as well as Sonny Gray say the same thing about the Yankee coaching staff, mainly that they want them to throw too many breaking balls, too many balls in the dirt. Like, yes, the Yankees do get a lot of high swing and misses, probably amongst the best in the league. But these players seem like they want to throw their fastball more and more consistently, and seem like the Yankees don't want them to do this. But maybe now part of this whole internal audit, the Yankees have to maybe change their way of thinking, because we're seeing pitchers go other places and flourish really well. Not all the time, but Sonny Gray and Jordan Montgomery are definitely examples of that. And now to see how far they go there in the playoffs. And again, you're gonna be kicking your head, the fact that you had these guys, you let them go, and you see them do good elsewhere. Now, Jordan Montgomery is going to be a free agent after the season. Could the possibly Yankees kick the tires on him, bringing him back? Maybe. It wasn't really like a bad breakup, and Jordan Montgomery said goodbye and all this stuff to the fans after the Instagram and the Twitter posts like that. So it doesn't seem like there was any bad blood, and it kind of, again, it was a trade that wasn't like to get him out of town because he stunk. It was a wise move at the time, but it just didn't work out for the Yankees. So again, if the Yankees really want to bring him back, and if he's like a new type of pitcher now, you can get him in free agency in the offseason. Will I think it happened? Probably not, because it's like you had the guy, you weren't paying anything, you traded him away, now you're going to give the guy like $10 or $12 million, which maybe his market value is going to be. So I don't see the Yankees doing that, but if the Yankees want to bring him back, they can. Now, if you were watching, I guess, the Houston-Texas series there, and I guess the Fox pregame, you, I guess, been seeing Jeter and A-Rod and Ortiz there do that on the, before the post and pregame and stuff there. And I'm sure you caught that awkward moment, I guess, when Ortiz brought out the cowboy hats, and of course A-Rod put on one, he put on one, and Jeter was kind of like, New Yorkers don't wear this, to put it down. And I thought at first I thought that maybe Jeter was joking around, or just maybe because he's just known as a Yankee, he's not gonna sell himself out to put on a Houston like a Texas hat on like that, which I would understand that, like it would be a bad look for Jeter that way. So he was just. Or I figured, what was that, maybe Jeter's personality, just not wanting to make fun of himself. But, if you've been following Jeter on social media, especially with his daughters now, he's been putting makeup and stuff on his face. So it didn't seem like that was the problem. So it was kind of weird. Well, what it turns out, the whole thing was as a gag. Afterwards, he did tweet out a picture of him wearing the cowboy hat, in the back, in the back production office there, saying the whole thing was a bit of a skit there, which kind of makes sense, And again, but at the time, though, I just thought it was Jeter maybe just being a poor sport, or kind of say, I was like, just put the hat on. I don't care. I know you're a Yankee. Putting the hat on for 2 seconds wouldn't make a difference. But yeah, that whole thing was staged. But while on the subject with A-Rod, I'm not sure if you heard this whole thing. So he was a guest on the Evan and Tika show on WFAN there, and again, he was almost expressed almost concern, or why I feel like the Yankees should have retired his number 13 already, which is, it's going to be an interesting thing now, because stats and numbers wise, I mean, if you want to look at just the stats alone, well, he was one of the greatest Yankees of all time and one of the greatest baseball players of all time. But of course, we know all the PED stuff like that. You can see why the Yankees would be hesitant to retire his number there, and especially, and now this is really more on the Yankees' fault, because I think they've been really soft lately on retiring some of these numbers. And again, the 3 I'm going to put out there, of course, is Andy Pettit's 46. Jorge Posada's number 20, and I think the one that most of all is Paul O'Neill's number 21. Now, look, those are 3 of my favorite players. I like them, but retiring the numbers, even like Bernie Williams 51, you got to look at that. Yeah, retiring numbers is supposed to be like the greats of the greats, the Hall of Famers, stuff like that. But I think the Yankees have gone a little soft and a little too crazy of giving out these retiring these numbers. What you could draws in something like A-Rod, say, hey, look, well, I'm probably a better player than all 3 of them, so why are you not retiring my numbers? So A-Rod does have a point there, and mainly the one with Paul O'Neill. I mean, he was only a Yankee for 9 years. Now, I know he was there at the cornerstone of the whole Yankee dynasty when the Yankee organization turned themselves around in '93, and he was there for the entire ride, and pretty much the number 3 hitter, right fielder the whole way there. So, look, you can understand that, the 4 championships and 5 trips to the World Series, but, he was only a Yankee for 9 years, and he retired his number there. So I can understand why that would rub A-Rod the wrong way, as well as Jorge Posada. Yes, he was a Yankee longer, 17 seasons, but if you look at the stats between the 2, I mean, A-Rod just blows him away. Now, again, the cloud over the head is the whole PED stuff, and of course, I think the Yankee organization was frustrated with him. Probably felt like they didn't really get most out of that contract, and after he opted out 2007, it looks like he was willing to walk away, and Cashman was letting him walk away. It was Hank Steinbrenner and A-Rod, I guess, talking behind the scenes there. Bring A-Rod back on that mega contract deal. And again, the last few years of that deal were just awful with the Yankees. Of course, he missed the entire 2014 season with the whole biogenesis thing like that. So you can understand why the organization, not really looking to bring him back like that. But you kind of have to. I mean, it's like he's one of the biggest, greatest players of all time. Played for your uniform, and you want to recognize him. And it's just kind of odd like that. And what if at some point you want to bring back the 2009 team and have like a 25-year anniversary? Well, he has to be included in that because he basically was there and he basically carried that team in the postseason. You think of all those big home runs they hit, Game 2 against Minnesota, Game 2 against the Anaheim Angels. A-Rod literally carried that team there. So whatever you want to say bad about A-Rod, he basically single-handedly put that team on his back and got him a championship. So you got to bring him in, include him in that thing. Well, again, you're going to have him there, but not retire as number 13. So I think the Yankees will at some point. That maybe if we make him wait along the way, maybe this Hall of Fame, obviously the writers are never going to put him in. He'll probably have to get put in if it ever happens through this contemporary group. But they'll probably wait. A-Rod's old and gray and hunched over like that. So, but at some point, I think the Yankees should just do it and get it over with at this point, just so it's not lingering around. But at some point, you're going to have to retire as number 13. Again, maybe he's not the most upstanding citizen. Some things he's done a little crazy and all, but he never did commit any bad crimes. I mean, there's bad things and there's bad things. All right, let's say A-Rod dabbled in some substances, stuff like that to enhance him, be a better player. Okay, it's that. But he wasn't involved in anything violent or anything crazy like that. No crazy accusations where something like he would go to jail with. The only thing he would probably go to jail with if he was lying under oath about using PEDs like that. That would be the only thing. Other than that, nothing offensible that you would go to jail for. So if that's the case, might as well just retire it, get it over with, and just bring him back and just kind of put a bit of a smile and thing. To have this grudge between him, it just doesn't make sense. It's almost like the grudge between Yogi and Steinbrenner that they almost wasted like 20 years for nothing, really. And we want to do the same thing with A-Rod. I mean, should be water on the bridge. And if you look at the good things A-Rod done for the Yankee organization, they never drew 4 million people to Yankee Stadium until he became a Yankee. And if you look at all the merchandise, all the jerseys he's sold for them, the millions he's made for them as well. So it is a bit of a two-way street there. And the TV ratings, to watch, yes, or even just in general, the national games. When A-Rod and Yankees and against Red Sox and Ortiz, that's when that was like the highest of that rivalry. Just look all the eyes that bought, and A-Rod was a remote drop when you're watching him. Even towards the later part of his career, every time he was at bat, maybe because you're wondering ahead how much money he gets per at bat, but still you watch the at bat because you just think you're probably gonna get a home run. And so, he drew eyes to the team. He brought a lot in, so they should reward him. Just retire number 13, get it out of the way, so you don't have to talk about it anymore. So for A-Rod, probably have to rely on the contemporary committee to be voted to Hall of Fame. Now, they are going to put a vote for some 8 new candidates coming up this season. Now, it's going to be announced on December 3rd at 6:30 at MLB Network if you want to tune in. Now, no players of a notable name. Well, I guess technically if you want to consider Lou Piniella. But it seems like most of these inductees or possible candidates are obviously, most of them are managers. So of course Lou Piniella, but of course he was a player before that. Jim Leyland, Cito Gaston, and Davey Johnson, who if you're a Mets fan, of course, they're from the '86 Mets there, and umpire Ed West. So those are probably the notable names of this group here now. So we'll look at the Lou Piniella, where I think he should be a Hall of Famer. Obviously you can't look at it manager alone, play alone, but even if you put them together, I just don't see a greatness there that warrants him. If he gets in, fine. I'm not going to say it's terrible there. But again, I always think that the Hall of Fame should be the greats, the best of the best, some sort of greatness. And with Piniella, it just seems like it's a case of him just being around a long time in the game. Now, he's one of the characters of the game. Of course, we know his antics, kicking dirt at the umpires and all that stuff and throwing fits. Again, he's a character of the game, okay, but just being a character of a game and being around for a long time, I don't think merits you being a Hall of Famer. So I think it should be the stats, it should be on stats, not really just because you've been around forever, but we'll look at the stats. First, as a player now, 18 seasons, so you hang around a lot. An impressive .291 batting average, okay, but only 102 home runs, 1,705 hits there, so not even close to 3,000, barely close to 2,000 hits there. Now, he was a rookie year when he came up in '69 with the Royals, and of course won 2 championships with the New York Yankees in '77 and '78 there. But again, as a player, do you see a greatness with him with that? No. Now let's look at him as a manager. Only has a 1 World Series, and that was in 1990 with the Cincinnati Reds. And you can almost consider the situation if Pete Rose didn't get caught with the gambling allegations in '89, could have very well been Pete Rose as the manager in 1990. So I don't know if it was anything like Lou Piniella really did anything to really warrant that. He just happened to be there, maybe just at the right time, right place at the right time there. So only has that 1 World Series visit and win there, and then in 23 seasons, 18 and 100. 1,835 wins, which is 17th time all-time for managers there. So, not really impressive. It's not even top 10. It's just, it's barely top 20. So, again, I just don't see a greatness there. Now, his record overall is over 100 games there, so you want to give a little pat on the back like that, and did make the postseason 7 times. But again, I just don't see a sort of greatness there with, you want to combine player and manager there to warrant the Hall of Fame there. And if you just want to compare to Joe Torre, now Joe Torre managed 6 more years, so you got to take that into account. But Joe Torre has 2,300 wins, so 500 more wins than Lou Piniella, and of course has the 4 World Series rings as a manager and the 6 visits there. So if you wanted to compare Torre as a manager, and Torre overall was a better player than Lou Piniella. I mean, Torre, when he was at the Cardinals, a former MVP, and a champion as well there. So as a player, he was a much better player than Lou Piniella as well. So if you combine that, you can understand why Torre got in. But Torre could have got in just for being a manager alone, just for what he did with the Yankees, all those wins in the 4 championships and 6 trips to the World Series. So that just shows you why just the way the two of them account there. So, will Piniella get in? Maybe it'll happen, but I don't think it'll be terrible. But again, I just think the World Series should always be the best of the best, and I think when you start letting people in, like they voted in Harold Baines a couple of seasons ago, this temporary group, it's like, come on, Baines, good player, but he was a compiler, and he spent like the last half of his season as a DH, and he wasn't even playing in the field there. So, I don't think, so we'll see what happens with Lou. I don't think he'll get in. And as for some of the other guys, same thing as well. I mean, Davey Johnson, when he was not really as a manager, but more, if you combine what he did as a player, he was with those Baltimore Oriole teams, the late 60s there. I mean, he has some impressive stats there. So if you combine that, maybe make a case for him. But again, Lou Piniella, I like him. He's a Yankee and all that stuff, but I don't think enough there, to warrant being into the Hall of Fame. Now, the Yankees maybe need a little assistance, in some of their offseason decision-making. As mentioned at the top, King Eng is available now. She declined her last year to be a GM of the Marlins. Now, again, Jeter brought in when he was the CEO, and it's supposedly behind the scenes. Now, Jeter made pretty much all the decisions, even though she was the GM. Again, first female GM of baseball there. And, of course, Jeter stepped down, and I guess there was some Jeter holdovers in there. Again, it seemed there was some clashing in the front office, and I guess whatever she just wants out of, she wants out. So she's out there on the market. So is that someone that the Yankees might consider bringing in? Would she consider a sort of assistant role? And again, maybe the Yankees do need a fresh pair of eyes on things, so it's not only Cashman making the decisions. So it's something the Yankees might want to consider. And for the Marlins, they finished with a record of 84 and 78, got that final wild card spot. So look, she did something there. I mean, she got a team that was not really a great payroll, got them into the postseason there. And again, she was with the Yankee organization going back to 98 during the 98, 99, 2000 World Championships there. So, I think she's got something between her brains there. So, someone you might want to consider bringing in. Now, some of the talk that someone the Yankees didn't bring in going back to 2019 is Bryce Harper. And, he made some remarks that he was growing up as a Yankee fan, and he was kind of surprised the Yankees didn't never approach him in 2019. Well, look, it's easy to play, Monday morning quarterback with that one. At the time, though, I don't think it made sense for the Yankees. I mean, a 13-year deal. I mean, we're complaining now about Giancarlo Stanton. We're going to complain about that guy if you lock him on for 13 seasons. And what if he was bad? What if he was getting hurt all the time? So I think that was something the Yankees made the wise move not to touch. And I know he's younger than your typical free agent, but back at that time there, and his reputation wasn't that great. I mean, he was getting in the fights with Papelbon, his teammates, arguing with coaches and stuff. It seemed like, this bit of a little obnoxious at the time. Maybe he's matured a little bit, okay, but at that time, I think it was the right move for Cash to make not to bring him in. So look, if it's always like, you don't want to second guess everything like that, but 13-year commitment to one player. I'm just going to end on that note. That was the one, probably the smart move Cashman did make.